If my doctor told me tomorrow that I had prediabetes, here are the first 10 things I do, and the first three would start today. In fact, one of the most important things of this list has nothing to do with food. First of all, I wouldn't panic, and I wouldn't assume that medication was my only option, and I definitely wouldn't wait 6 months to start making changes. Prediabetes is your body's warning light. It's a signal that your ability to handle fuel is starting to break down. So let's get right into it. Number one, stop drinking sugar. If there was one thing I would stop immediately, it would be drinking sugar. That means soda, sweet tea, fruit juice, energy drinks, and fancy coffee drinks. Liquid sugar raises blood glucose rapidly while doing very little to satisfy your hunger. In fact, before I worried about the occasional potato or piece of fruit, I'd take a hard look at what's in my cup. So if you're drinking your sugar, that's where I'd start. Number two, build every meal around protein. So the second thing I do is stop building meals around carbohydrates and start building them around protein. Protein supports muscle, metabolism, and satiety. So instead of asking how many carbs can I eat, I'd ask, did I get enough protein first? When protein goes up, cravings go down. Number three, replace carbs, don't just remove them. This may be the most important point of this video. The question isn't simply how many carbs am I eating? The better question is, what are those carbs replacing? Too often, carbohydrates replace protein. Instead of eggs, people are eating cereal. Instead of meat, they eat crackers. Instead of Greek yogurt, they're grabbing a granola bar. When carbs replace protein, hunger often increases, muscle maintenance suffers, and blood sugar becomes harder to control. And remember, muscle is one of the biggest places that glucose can go. So when we lose muscle, we lose part of our body's ability to handle carbohydrates. And by the way, if all you did was the first three things on this list, you probably would see meaningful improvements in your blood sugar. But don't stop there. Number four, walking after meals. As a physical therapist, I want you to think of your muscle as glucose sinks. When you walk after a meal, your muscles help pull glucose out of the bloodstream and use it for energy, and it doesn't even require insulin. Even a 10-minute walk can make a meaningful difference. I've seen patients lower their blood sugar simply by using their muscles. Don't underestimate the power of movement. Number five, improve sleep. Remember when I said one of the most important items on this list had nothing to do with food? This is it. Sleep is not optional when it comes to blood sugar control. Many people think prediabetes begins in the kitchen. Sometimes it begins in the bedroom. Poor sleep raises cortisol. Higher cortisol means higher blood sugar, more hunger, more cravings, and greater insulin resistance. Many people focus on food while completely ignoring sleep. That's a mistake. Now, if you're still with me, we covered some of the obvious things. The next five things are often the hidden reasons people stay stuck, even when they think they're doing everything right. Number six, stop grazing and snacking. Every time you eat, insulin rises. That's normal. You need that to happen. But if you're eating morning until bedtime, insulin rarely gets a chance to return to baseline. So I would focus on eating satisfying meals and reducing unnecessary snacking. Give your body time to process what you already eaten before asking it to handle more fuel. Number seven, start resistance training. And while walking helps clear glucose now, muscle helps to manage glucose later. Muscle is one of the largest sites of glucose disposal in the body. The more muscle you maintain, the better your body generally handles glucose. You don't need to become a bodybuilder, so bands, dumbbells, body weight exercises, sit to stands, and strength machines all count. So as we age, protecting muscle becomes increasingly important for metabolic health. Number 8, ultra-processed foods. Not all carbohydrates are created equal. Most ultra-processed foods are designed to be easy to overeat. They often combine refined carbohydrates, fats in a way that trick your brain into thinking that you're still hungry. And for many people, simply reducing ultra-processed foods can dramatically improve appetite control and blood sugar management. Number 9, measure your waist. The tape measure often tells a story before the scale does. Visceral fat, that's the fat stored around your organs, is strongly associated with insulin resistance. I would monitor my waist circumference regularly. As a matter of fact, I do. And many times that waist improves before the scale moves significantly. So if you have a tape measure handy, use it. And then finally, number 10, track progress. Measuring your waist is the physical check. My final step is about the data that keeps you honest over the long haul. I would monitor your A1C, that's your 90-day blood sugar, your fasting glucose, waist circumference, energy levels, hunger, and cravings. What gets measured gets managed. That's the health coach in me. And small improvements repeated consistently add up over time. So fortunately for me, I reversed my prediabetes. But if I got that diagnosis today, these are the first 10 things I would do. Stop drinking sugar. Build every meal around protein. Replace carbs instead of simply removing them. Walk after meals. Improve sleep. Stop grazing. Start resistance training. Reduce ultra-processed foods. Measure my waist. Track my progress. Notice that none of these require perfection. They are practical, they are sustainable, and most importantly, they address the physiology driving prediabetes in the first place. Prediabetes isn't simply a blood sugar problem, it's a fuel handling problem. And the sooner you improve the way your body handles fuel, the sooner you can start moving back toward metabolic health. If you found this video helpful, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. And my goal is to help people understand the physiology behind metabolic health so that they can make informed decisions and take practical control of their future health. And if you know someone who's being told they have prediabetes or someone who's worried about their blood sugar, please share this video with them. Prediabetes is often reversible, but only if people understand what actually is driving it. I'm Dr. Rose Petrilla, and I'll see you in the next video. Check out the description. There's lots of resources there to get started. I'll see you tomorrow.